What's poppin' YouTube? JD here, back with yet another video for you guys, and in this video we are talking about an entire series of sneakers. It is the most sustainable sneakers that Nike has ever produced. Of course, we are talking about the Nike Space Hippie series, namely the 01, the 02, and the 03. What up fam? So in this video I'm gonna break down these sneakers, give you the story behind it. We'll talk about the materials, and we'll also talk about what makes each of these three sneakers so unique in their own way. I'll give you some sizing advice for each of these sneakers, and as a bonus I will throw in some resale information as well, so make sure you stick around until the end of the video. Alright, so we have the 01, the 02, and the 03. There was also a fourth sneaker that dropped, which I didn't cop. The inspiration behind this entire series was actually life in space, specifically life on Mars. So on Mars you don't really have a lot of natural resources. If you actually want something, you're gonna have to probably make it out of the materials around you, and that's exactly what Nike did with this sneaker. They pretty much made this out of what they call the trash that they found in their factories. For each of these sneakers, up to 50% of the sneaker is made out of recycled materials. And these sneakers released in two different waves. We first got the orange and gray pairs. Out of that bunch, I only managed to actually cop the 03, which I got from the sneakers app. Then the second wave of colorways was a gray and volt, and that's where I managed to cop the 01 as well as the 02. The kind of weird thing about these two colorways is how back to back they dropped. They were pretty much 1 week after the other. That's not something we usually see. All right, so before we break down each of these sneakers, let's talk about what all three of them have in common. First of all, the box. Like, you can just have a look at this box, man. It is the most unassuming, most boring box ever, because there's literally no design on it whatsoever. And if you cop these sneakers directly from Nike on the sneakers app, then you would have got a box that looked like this. As you can see, Nike has attached the shipping label as well as taped up the box. And that was part of an additional step to make the sneaker even more eco-friendly by not double boxing it, just sending out one box. If you cop the sneakers from another store, not Nike, then you did manage to get the sneakers double boxed. The 01 and the 02 I didn't cop from Nike, and as you can see, there's no shipping label on my box. It was sent to me double boxed. Of course, a lot of the resellers are pretty upset that Nike didn't double box the sneakers, because it makes it quite difficult to actually resell the shoes. Also, all three of these sneakers come with this Nike Space Hippie mesh bag that has a few logos on it, as well as this really cool Nike pinwheel logo. Also, the uppers on each of these sneakers is made out of the same material, what Nike is calling a space waste yarn. And this material was literally made out of waste. We're talking plastic water bottles and t-shirts. And of course, the last thing that they all have in common is this absolutely insane outsole, which is made out of what they call a crater foam. This foam is made out of a mixture of foam as well as rubber. You can see these little dots all over the foam. Those are basically pieces of rubber. The second wave of colorways though came with this white crater foam, whereas the original wave of colorways, as you can see, it came with this blue foam. I kind of wish that the original colorways also came with the white foam. That would, in my opinion, at least tone down the sneaker a little bit, because this sneaker is already a super loud sneaker. I don't think it needed blue foam. I would have preferred to have white foam on the OGs as well. Also, as you can see, the insole of the sneaker is made out of Nike Zoom X, well, recycled Nike Zoom X. And this foam combined with this insole, I gotta say, it's an extremely comfortable sneaker, and it's exactly the type of comfort that I like. I'm not a fan of like very squishy comfort because my feet tend to hurt after wearing them for a while. This sneaker, however, is just the right balance between firmness and softness. So I feel like I could walk around all day in these and there would be no problems at all. All right, let's get into the individual sneakers, starting off with the 01s. Now, based on feedback that I've seen online, this was actually a lot of people's favorite from the entire pack. And I can see why. From a looks point of view, I would say compared to the other two at least, it's probably the most traditional looking. It looks like a lot of existing Nike sneakers. I actually think this sneaker looks very similar to the Nike Epic React. Unlike the other two sneakers, this sneaker actually has a traditional lacing system done with these rope laces. You also see this very oversized knitted swoosh on either side of the shoe. In this pair, you can see it done in this nice Volt color. On the back of the shoe, you get this nice pull tab, once again with that super nice Nike pinwheel logo. This pair, the 01, was unfortunately the only pair that I actually didn't get in my size, so I unfortunately don't have much sizing advice for this. But based on some of the other reviews I've seen and what people are generally saying online, it seems like this sneaker does fit true to size for most people. One thing I will say about the upper compared to the 02 and the 03 is that the upper on the 01 does feel a bit stiffer compared to the other two. As far as my personal opinion, I would say the 01 is probably my least favorite out of the entire pack. When I first looked at pictures of the three, I actually liked this pair second best after the 03s. But now after having them all in hand, I just think that this sneaker looks a bit tamer compared to the other two. And I kind of like this whole collection because of how wild these sneakers look. And this looks a bit already to me like other existing Nike sneakers. So it's not that I don't like the shoe, I just like the other two better. Moving on to the 02s, as you can see, one major change is that there are no laces. This is a completely laceless shoe. And this sneaker, as you can see, is much more higher than the 01s. This is more of a mid cut. You can see that the 01 is actually the low cut version. Then we got the 02, which is slightly higher, the mid cut. And finally the 03s, which is the high top version of this pack. So getting back to the 02s, one major difference I noticed is that the upper is a lot softer than the other two sneakers. As you can see, it's a lot stretchier compared to the 01s. It looks like I have sock puppets on right now. Also, the top of the sneaker, you can see how stretchy it is. So out of all of them, this one is easily the easiest one to get your foot into. Compare that with the 01s, you can see the top is simply not as stretchy. The 02s actually reminds me a lot of the Adidas Ultra Boost mids, at least the silhouette does. If you thought the swoosh on the 01s was big, on the 02s it takes it to a whole nother level. The swoosh basically starts off at the toe area and goes all the way along the side of the shoe, making it easily the biggest swoosh out of this entire pack. The back of the shoe is where you see this grid pattern, and this part of the shoe is actually reinforced, so it adds a lot of stability to the shoe. As far as the fit goes, I did get this in my true size, and for me, easily this one is the most snug out of the 01s and the 03s. Although because of how stretchy this material is, I don't think I would have gone a half size up because I'm expecting this material to kind of stretch out over time. So I would personally stick true to size, and especially if you like a snug fit, true to size would be perfect. By the way, very quickly, if you are enjoying this video so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And of course, smash that like button. It really helps out the channel, guys. Finally, let's get into the 03s. Now, I did an entire review of this sneaker. I will leave a link to it up here where I went into detail about this shoe. This one, definitely my favorite. And not only is it my favorite from the pack, it's actually one of my favorite sneakers, period, that has dropped this year. Although I'll be honest, I haven't worn these yet. I've had them now for about like 3 weeks or so. I still haven't worn them, and that's because I'm kind of struggling to come up with an outfit for these. It's definitely not the easiest shoe to style. So far, I've realized that it looks really dope with shorts, but as far as finding the right pants, I'm having a bit of a struggle here. If any of you guys have copped this sneaker and have worn it yourself, tell me how you are wearing it. Drop your Instagram maybe if you have some fit pics. I would like to see how some of you guys are styling these. This sneaker, of course, has a very unique lacing system. The most difficult thing about the shoe is actually getting your feet in and out of the shoe. You gotta definitely like wiggle your way into the shoe. Once your feet is in there, you can pull the pull tab, it tightens the shoe. Also, we have this tab at the back, which when you pull, loosens the shoe. However, I gotta say, this pull tab at the back doesn't really work too well because when I pull it, I don't really feel like my shoe is getting any looser, to be honest. Getting your feet out of the shoe is a bit scary, to be honest. I'm secretly praying like it doesn't snap or anything when I take my feet out. But regardless of that, love the way the shoe looks, love these two swooshes that you see on the toe box. It's just a very futuristic looking sneaker, and I think it's definitely the standout shoe from this pack. These sneakers for me fit perfectly, going true to size, so that's my suggestion. Let's talk about resale for all three of these shoes. Let's start off with the 03s. When I did my review of this, I said that these sneakers were definitely a very good hold. And at the time I did this sneaker, there was no news at all that the second colorway was coming out. Had I known, I would have probably not suggested that because the prices on these basically skyrocketed really fast, and then once the news of that new colorway came out, that's when the prices started to sink back down. Right now, this orange pair still has a significantly higher resale than the yellow pairs. I still suggest, with the 03 specifically, I still suggest holding on to them because this sneaker was actually very limited. There was extremely few stores that actually got this. Here in Europe, it was pretty much just the sneakers app and like 4 or 5 other stores. And we've seen other space themed sneakers in the past. do really well for resale. I'm not saying this is gonna perform as well as the Mars Yard pairs, but I do think that this sneaker is unique enough that we will see a pretty high resale if you keep holding on to it. For the O1s, it looks like resale is performing pretty decent in the bigger sizes. Actually, what I've noticed with the O1 and the O2 is that these Volt colorways are selling for way cheaper right now than the orange pairs. So if you're somebody who missed out on this collection and you wanted to buy a pair, I personally wouldn't pay $100 more just to get the orange pair. I know the orange colorways were the OG colorways, but they pretty much dropped like 1 week of each other. So in my opinion, they're both OG colorways. I don't think they're different enough that I would pay an extra $100 just to get an orange swoosh here instead of Volt. Now, I think there was a rumor that we might be getting even more colorways of the Space Hippie series dropping. And if that's the case, then I definitely don't suggest holding on to these pairs, because if Nike's gonna basically treat this like the next Nike Flyknit, then the value of these are 100% gonna go down, especially these Volt ones, since they're still not technically the OG pairs. So as far as holding for resale, it's really difficult to say because it all depends on whether all these extra colorways are gonna come out or not. If they're not, then of course I would not sell these right now. Overall, I definitely really like this series, and I actually really like what Nike has tried to do here. The amount of plastic out there is just decimating the planet, so it's good to see that some of the bigger brands are taking the sustainability topic a little bit more seriously. Let me know down in the comments which is your favorite silhouette out of this entire pack. Give me your rankings as well. In my personal opinion, definitely I would rank the O3 number 1, then I would rank the O2 second, the O1 third, and definitely the O4 is the one I like the least. If you're not already done so, make sure you follow me on Instagram. The handle is right here. It is at JDKick6. Definitely the easiest place to contact me. And thank you so much, fam, for all the support and for messing with the channel. You guys are the best. Until next time, peace.